Hello, I'm Asa Jernigan. I'm here with Max Cordell, retired band director from Trinity Christian Academy in Jacksonville, Florida. And we're at Orlando at an FBA Summer Convention on July the 15th, 2024. Max, why did you decide to become a band director, and what were the circumstances that began your band journey?
Well, my parents were very musical. My dad played the piano and the organ in church and sung. And so I was kind of around music all my life. And this was up in the Asheville, North Carolina area. As far as band goes, the thing that really turned me on to band was when I heard the junior high school band play when I was in the 6th grade. They came to our school and gave a concert. And part of that concert was them inviting students to come up and direct the band. And, I wanted to do that. And so I went up and he picked me to direct the band. And it was just like a little 30-second thing. And it didn't matter really what I did, because they were going to play it right anyway. But that stuck in my mind all these years is directing that band. And it kind of got me hooked from that point on. So I just fell in love with the band and playing, and joined in the junior high, of course, and was 3 years there in Asheville. And then I went to the high school. In the high school I marched for 3 years. And about my junior year in college, I thought, well, I'm having so much fun. I would love to be a band director and help other students enjoy what I've been enjoying all these years. So I mentioned it to my band director, and he was all for that. And so happened there was a man in my church whose son went to Bob Jones University, and they invited me to go down and visit with him. And so I went down and I saw the school. It's there in Greenville, South Carolina. I fell in love with the school and went there and majored in music education. And I had a great time. I was in the band all 4 years. I was in the orchestra 1 year. I was in the trombone choir. And one of the things that I was in was also a brass group that traveled during the summer promoting the school. And we went all around the southeast and as far west as Kansas City, I believe. But one of our stops was at Trinity Baptist Church when it was down on McDuff Avenue. And so our brass group played in the church, and I stayed in the home of a couple who eventually would be band parents after I went to Trinity to teach. And so it was kind of interesting how the Lord just worked all that out. So I knew about the school. The beginning here, the principal from Trinity came up to Bob Jones, and he was looking for a band director. And I got a call slip. And my wife and I, she would be my wife, eventually, we went and talked to the principal. He said, hey, we have an opening for a band director and also an elementary music teacher. And Joan, my wife, she was in elementary music. And so we looked at the opportunity, and it was almost a brand new school. I mean, they'd been on McDuff, but they'd moved out to Hammond Boulevard, and they were just in their 2nd year at the new property. And, nice new facilities, practice rooms, a band room and everything, and storage space. And that really appealed to me, that we'd get into such a good facility. So we prayed about it and decided to go to Trinity. We got married the summer after I graduated. And our honeymoon was the trip down to Florida. We took about a week to get down, but then we started. This was in 1973. So I was there for 5 years at Trinity Christian Academy. And first year didn't really do anything with marching. The second year I put them in football jerseys, and we played for homecoming. By the third year we had uniforms, and we did some marching and played at the football games. And the fourth year, we started doing FBA festivals. And we've been doing those ever since, when I've been there. I did leave after 5 years because I felt the need to get my master's degree. And so I left for a year and we went to Athens, Georgia. And I worked on my master's at the University of Georgia. I needed some money though to pay the tuition and all of that stuff. And so I inquired around. And there was another Christian school up there called Athens Christian School. And they needed a band director. And so they worked it out where I could come and teach their band program in the afternoon and go to school in the mornings. And it worked out great. And Joan, my wife, she taught piano lessons. And there was also a nearby church that needed a music director. And so I became the choir and the song leader in that little church and did that on Sundays. So between the school and the church, we had enough money to get through the year, and it really worked out good. Well, at the end of that year that I was there working on a master's degree, they wanted me to stay and all, but I got an invitation to come back to Trinity. They wanted me to come back to the school. So we prayed about it and thought about it, and it wasn't an easy decision because we love the people up there, we love the area, but we decided to come back to Trinity. And so we were there really for the next 44 years. And God really blessed, and I think I made the right decision coming back.
What challenges did you encounter as a band director?
Well, there's always challenges. I guess one challenge is that in our particular program, we started them in the 5th grade and had band, all the way through the 12th grade. And I was the only band director. So it's good in a way because you're your own feeder program. You can't blame the guy lower than you. And so trying to deal with the very young kids all the way through high school was a challenge. And there were some years that I had some help. Somebody'd come in and take the younger bands. But many of those years I did it all myself. I think recruitment and retention is always a challenge. In a private school like I'm in, you'll have students that come in and then maybe they transfer out, go to another school, and then of course you always have those students that just drop band. They don't want to continue on anymore. So having enough students, having the right instrumentation, and all is a constant challenge. Getting enough money, we couldn't just get anything we wanted. We did a lot of fundraising, had a very active band booster club, and we do all kind of fundraising. And so that was a challenge. And we did lots of trips. We took tours, and we had to raise money for those kind of things. And of course the students helped out with their own personal funds. But organizing those trips, getting the buses booked and getting the hotels reserved, setting up performance venues and all was always a challenge. And we had help from tour companies sometimes. I think another challenge was dealing with tragedies. I've been at Trinity long enough where I've actually seen a number of students pass away. First one was Charles Lush. He was one of my drum majors, and he got killed in a car wreck on a Friday night. And that was very hard. We had a rehearsal the next day, and we just sat in the band room and cried. We didn't understand, why that happened. But we had a young man who was not in the marching band, but he was a good musician, good trumpet player. He volunteered to take over as drum major, and he finished out the year for us. So it worked out, but that was a very tragic thing. And we actually have a scholarship in his name that we give to drum majors every year to help them with their camp and all.
What concepts do you have to instill in your students in order for them to achieve the high quality music that your program has always been known for? I've watched your program for so many years and just always been so impressed with the level that band performed at with as many young kids as you were using.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always tried to tell them to give their very best, and to do it for the Lord. The Bible says that whatsoever you do, do it as unto the Lord and not unto men, and do it for the glory of God. And we would often pray before we perform, we pray after we perform, and we just dedicated it to God. And we felt like, hey, this is God's band. God's put us here to represent our school, represent our church, represent our parents. And so I tried to instill that in the students. And I tried to instill with them the importance of practice, dedication, faithfulness, hard work, showing up for the performances. And I think just being faithful and giving your very best and letting God use the talent that He gave you to the fullest through your dedication.
Okay, during your career, as when you're still in the band room teaching every day, what did you do to keep your edge, to keep that passion flowing all the time?
Well, I continued to listen to other groups perform, to sit in at like festivals, try to listen to some groups other than just my own group. I've continued to go to workshops and do some graduate work. I had to keep up my teacher's certificate, and so I would go to like Vandercook College of Music up in Chicago. Did that a lot because they had these 1-week workshops where you could get 3 credits in 1 week, and so that was good. Also, I've continued to play. I play in church just about every Sunday, and then in my retirement, I'm still helping out a little bit, not a lot, but I'll sub for the new band director and come in and help out when he can't be there. So I've tried to keep up learning even after I've retired, yes.
Do you have any words of wisdom or advice that you could pass on to future directors?
Yes, I do. There's several things that I made note of here. First of all is the music selection. I've always felt that you should pick music that's enjoyable to play, that I like and the kids like, and also that fits the band. There's a lot of music that we could not play because it just didn't fit our instrumentation. And I tried to pick things that were enjoyable, that was challenging but not overly so, but had the instrumentation that we could work with. Even in marching band, I tried to pick songs that had tunes, and it wasn't necessarily things that the people would know, but it was tuneful music, and I think that stuck in their mind and was helpful. I would say to young directors or anybody, be very careful of the music selection, and also do lots of listening to other groups, and keep learning, keep going to summer conferences like we're in right now, and the FBA conference in January, and graduate work, and anything that you can do to continue to improve and to learn. One thing that we did, which I felt really motivated the students, was to plan trips and go to competitions. We loved doing that. We'd do the FBA things, but we'd also do other events. And we would travel a lot. Our band went to Washington, we've gone to New York, played in front of the Statue of Liberty. We actually played on the Capitol steps, or right at the foot of the Capitol steps in Washington. We've been to Chicago, been to Dallas, Philadelphia, and we just taken some really neat trips. And when you talk to students, when they come back, they'll mention sometimes, how much fun those trips were, but they're a lot of work, but it's great motivation. And even the contests and the MPAs and all those, it motivates the students. And my philosophy is you need to get the music out of the band room. It's one thing to play in the band room, and go do your concert, that's fine. But get it out and let the public see it outside of the band room.
Okay, is there one thing about your personal character that you would say enabled you to achieve your high level of musical excellence?
I would say a lot of hard work, being willing to do a lot of hard work. I put many hours in outside of the school day. It would involve evenings many times. Sometimes I would even go out and line the football field or line the practice field myself. And I'm not saying you should do that. You need to get your grounds people to do that. But setting up for a concert, setting up the stage, it's just many, many hours. Band is not just a 8 to 5 job. It can be pretty much all the time if you let it be. But on the other hand, you need to set a time aside for your family. There needs to be times when you just set it aside, take your vacations, and don't make it the most important thing in your life.
Okay, do you have a short story that would demonstrate your satisfaction in choosing the life of a band director?
Well, I do, in fact. I mentioned family, and I was very fortunate because all 3 of my children, who are adults now, they were in the band, and they went through our program. My oldest went on to major in music at Florida State and then at Juilliard and became a professional horn player. I played in the Philadelphia Orchestra for a while, and even now she's on their sub list, and she's kind of a freelancer. My son, he was in the drum line, went through, and still uses his music in film editing and video stuff. And he has played a little bit in the past, like in church. And my youngest, she went to Florida State and marched in the Chiefs for a year. And she's not doing music right now, but I think music had a great impact on her life, and she loves music. One thing I wanted to share is that in June of 2021, my son and some others put together a retirement party for me. And we had alumni come in from many different places and some out of state. And we had an alumni band. And it was around 35 kids. And we played a few numbers, and then there were some other presentations, some video presentations from former teachers and colleagues and so forth. And that was really special. But I looked at those kids, and even today when I look back at the pictures and see how God has used music in their life. And some of them, it's not just the instrument that they played in college, because they've learned to play guitar, and they've learned to sing, and they've learned to do different things, but it's still music. We've got one fellow that was in that group who's the choir director at Fleming Island High School. One of the young ladies is the band director at St. John's Classical Academy. So there's Michael Patterson. He was head of the Jaguars drum line, and unfortunately he just recently passed away. But there's a lot of students in that group that have used their music in some capacity, maybe as a worship leader or something. So it's very meaningful to me to see the impact. I'll say the program, I won't say just me, but the impact that the program has had on the students. And if there's anything that I've done to help encourage them and move them along, I'm just grateful that I had that opportunity.
So now that you're retired from Trinity, what do you do now in your retirement to keep your creative side going?
Well, I try to continue to listen to groups, and I'm here this week to listen to some bands. I still sub some when the director's out, and I'll come in and help every once in a while. I'm not doing a whole lot really, but there's still things that I'm doing. As I mentioned, I'm still playing in church, and I played recently in like a community band that gave a concert, and so I'm still chugging along and playing some, and doing a little bit of teaching, My title right now is Director Emeritus, and so that allows me to keep a little office at the school, keep some reference books there, and to teach a little bit if students want private lessons.
Now, didn't you and Joan just come back from a vacation recently?
Yes, I mentioned the alumni, the retirement party that we have. And unbeknownst to me, they did a fundraising campaign behind my back. And they said, we want to do something special for Max and Joan. And so they started collecting money. And they presented me a check at the party for $16,000. And it was not to redo my roof or anything like that. They wanted me to take a trip. So in 22, we took a trip to Europe and went over. We were in 5 different countries and just had a wonderful, wonderful time. And I'm just so grateful that the former students felt like that they wanted to give us something special. And so that was very, very special.
All right, so we're sitting here talking with Max Cordell, former director at Trinity Christian Academy. At summer convention, as you can probably hear in the background, there's a lot of classes going on around us. What was the big draw for you to come back even though you're retired?
Dr. Tim, I love hearing him. His motivational stories are very, very interesting and funny. And I just want to kind of keep my ears in tune to what's happening and pick up some tips here and there. And then it was a good opportunity to have this interview. So, yeah.
Are there any parting words you would like to say before we end this?
I would just say, be faithful and stay somewhere long enough where you can build a program. And I know that people, they'll be at one place for a while and they'll move somewhere else, and that's fine. But I think part of the reason for my success at Trinity was that I stayed there long enough to build a program. They weren't changing directors every 3 or 4 years. And so I'm thankful for that. I think that paid off in the long run.
Well, thanks, Max. And they'll get this posted for you, and we're looking forward to watching it.
Okay, thank you.